Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the 2018 Honda Civic Type R, like no Honda you've ever seen.
Welcome to Oakland, California. This is the third and final game of this series between the Blue Jays and the Oakland A's. Oakland has won 6 in a row. If they win today, it'll be just the third time in their franchise history that they have swept a season series against one team. Take a look at the starting lineup for the Blue Jays. Justin Smoak's got a 5-game hit streak. He's batting .348 during those 5 games. And then Russell Martin, the catcher, back in the lineup on this road trip. He's looking to bat much better. He's 4 for 9 with a pair of doubles and a home run. He's been home run in Chicago. And they are in tough against the lefty, Sean Manaea.
23rd start of the season for the young left-hander. He took the loss in his last start. That snapped a winning streak of 4 games for Manaea. Just doesn't get any runs. Received no run support in that last start. His 6th start this year with 0 runs of support. So you would think that he would have a better record. And you can see why. He ranks 5th in the American League in opponents on base percentage, just .265. Very stingy there. And they're hitting just .220 against him. But the Blue Jays have had success against him. 4 career appearances, 3 starts. They've scored 11 earned runs in 23 innings against Manaea.
They got to him for 5 runs over 5 innings the last time they faced him back in May at Rogers Center. With the lefty on the mound, Randal Grichuk draws the nod as a leadoff hitter. Grichuk hit second yesterday, had a double in his first at bat, came around to score the first run of the ball game. Manaea is set. Here's the first pitch of the game. It's cut on and grounded toward third. Chapman has it. 1 up, 1 down. The Oakland A's have committed 68 errors, and they're going to have to tighten up their defense somewhat. In the outfield, Martini, Canna, and Piscotty, and the former Blue Jay, Franklin Barreto, at second.
Yeah, Jed Lowry with the day off this afternoon, so Barreto will get his 15th start at second base. He's also made a start over at shortstop. You know, you talk about their defense, they do have to clean it up, but if you look at some of the numbers, they are #1 in baseball at defensive efficiency. If there's a play that has to be made, they have made it for the most part this season.
Teoscar Hernandez back in the lineup. He did not play in last night's game. Getting a chance to start against the lefty. Manaea misses with the pitch outside. It's 1-1.
Very simple approach for Sean Manaea. He will come after you and challenge you with those fastballs. Fastball, changeup, an occasional slider.
Manaea threw a no-hitter against the Boston Red Sox. It was the 12th no-hitter in Athletics history. He beat Boston 3-0 on April 21st. He walked 2 and had 10 strikeouts. That matched his career high.
That was right here in this ballpark. And in this park, I think if you are basically a fastball changeup pitcher, that works to your advantage. Just keep the ball in the big part of the ballpark. It is tough to get the ball out of here. And he is a fly ball type of pitcher. He just pounds that strike zone completely. Let's take a look at his scouting report one more time. It's a very simple approach for him. Fastball tops out around 91, 93 miles an hour. On average, it's around 90. Changeup, and then the slider at 13%. And they're just hitting .210 against that changeup this year.
Fastball cut on and missed. Hernandez strikes out. 2 quick outs for Manaea here in the first.
He's not afraid to use that fastball. We just showed you the percentage of the time that he's going to use it. He'll challenge you with it. This time in the upper parts of the strike zone, Teoscar comes up empty.
2 up, 2 down. Manaea is 26 years old, a former first-round pick of the Kansas City Royals. And the Royals, they'd probably like to have him back.
It cost them Ben Zobrist to help them win the World Series in 2015. But if you flash forward to now, the Royals would love to have a young, controllable left-handed pitcher.
Justin Smoak, we mentioned his 5-game hit streak. He pops this one up. Matt Olson, the first baseman, drifting out into the outfield, makes the catch in fair territory. Good start for Manaea. 3 up, 3 down, no problems. Marcus Stroman has been throwing the ball much better. He'll take them out when we come back to Oakland. career win as the manager of the Oakland A's. He and Art Howe are now tied for third place on the all-time franchise win list for managers. Take a look at the lineup for Melvin and the Oakland A's. Matt Chapman against the Blue Jays. They can't figure him out. He's got 5 doubles of his 8 hits. He's also hit a home run, and then in the cleanup spot, nobody can get this guy out. Chris Davis, 8 home runs, 20 RBIs since July 22nd. That leads the majors, and for the month, he drove in 29 runs in the month of July.
In the last 10 days, he's been even hotter. Marcus Stroman will face the A's this afternoon, his 15th start of the season. He's coming off very good starts, winning back-to-back starts for the first time this season. Last time out against the Chicago White Sox, pitched into the 7th inning, and a good sign is he's gone over 100 pitches both of his last 2 starts. So he's getting stronger since coming off the disabled list.
Nick Martini takes the first pitch strike from Stroman. The peel down to third base is called a strike. Sam Holbrook down at third this afternoon. So Stroman quickly hit 0-2 on Martini, who's batting .326. Boy, he has been a terrific leadoff hitter since coming up from the minors.
Showing a lot of poise at the plate, a lot of patience.
And we just out of play back on the screen.
He's put up some very good at-bats for this team, and I think they found their guy that they need now at the top of that lineup.
Yeah, he is totally different than the majority of the hitters in this lineup, and he's not a power hitter. He's an on-base guy, and they haven't had that leadoff type of approach there, top of the order.
Sees plenty of pitches, and he's put up some very competitive at-bats in this series.
This time he strikes out. Russell Martin puts the tag on the ball, bounced in the dirt. So Stroman has a strikeout. Let's take a look at the defense, and there's a lot of new faces in the lineup in their positions. Darnell Sweeney is starting in left field. Grichuk's in center, and Teoscar is in right.
Blue Jays have used 8 different left fielders this season, and Darnell Sweeney will get the start out in left field. Sweeney, I'll tell you, this is a very, very tough outfield to play. This is his first chance to play in this ballpark, and it's a day game, so you got to be careful. It's a high sky here. I'll tell you what, it is tough. You could lose the ball in the sun very easily.
Sweeney made 18 starts in left field at AAA Buffalo before coming up. This is Matt Chapman, and Stroman's quickly ahead, 0-2. Chapman with 5 doubles and a home run against the Blue Jays. He is 8 for 20 for the season. And a breaking ball. A little more of a curveball that time from Stroman, just 72 miles an hour. Marcus making his 3rd career start against Oakland in this ballpark. He doesn't have a record. ERA .436 pitching here in Oakland.
His breaking ball has been so much better since he has come off the disabled list. He's getting stronger and stronger, I think, when you watch Marcus. His fastball's got a lot more life to it. It's got a lot more movement to it. Teams just haven't been able to hit the ball hard against him. A lot of weak contact and a lot of ground balls.
Yeah, his ERA since coming off the DL is at .298. This is his 8th start. And he's healthy, and you can see this is the Marcus Stroman the Blue Jays have seen for most of his career. It's so difficult to pitch when you're not 100%. I mean, you can have velocity. Yeah, you can throw a good fastball, but you don't have the finish or the command when you're not 100% healthy.
And you know he wanted to be part of the team. He missed a big chunk of spring training with that shoulder problem, but he wanted to get through spring training and start in the rotation for the season. But you could just tell that something wasn't right. To his credit, he kept pitching. Finally said, okay, that's enough. Let's go get this thing fixed.
That's a ground ball through the left side as Chapman continues to wear out Blue Jay pitching. His 9th hit of the season. against the Jays.
Well, all you have to do is look at the numbers, I think, for Marcus Stroman, and it tells you the whole story about his season. On the disabled list between May 11th and June the 23rd to get that shoulder problem settled down just a little bit. Before it, the ERA close to 8. Since then, under 3, an opponent's batting average back where it should be. And he's getting those ground balls again. So that just tells you he's got good life on his fastball, and he's got a better breaking ball.
Stephen Piscotty has been moved up into the lineup. He's in the 3rd spot this afternoon. Piscotty's hit 6th in the last 4 games, but he gets bumped up here. For Piscotty, this is just the 8th time he's hit up in this part of the order. 3rd time he has hit in the 3rd spot this season.
Well, Melvin just trying to bunch some of those hot hitters together. Piscotty had a very good month of July also.
He has not really gone after those breaking balls very well in this series. We saw him swing awkwardly a few times during the course of the series with those breaking balls away. He struck out the first time last night against Sam Gaviglio on a changeup. The A's have won 6 straight games against the Blue Jays. They have won every game these 2 teams have played this year. And if they win a 7th game, it'll be just the 3rd time in their franchise history they've had a perfect season against a team.
Yeah, they have really dominated the Blue Jays this season. They've outpitched them, they've outhit them, they've outscored. They've done just about everything right against the Blue Jays this year.
The A's were 12-0 against the Yankees in 1990, and they also were a perfect 7-0 against the Orioles in 2004. It's rare that you can dominate a team for an entire season. Somewhere along the line, somebody's going to make a mistake and have a bad game.
Right.
But that's not been the case for Oakland and against the Jays.
The hits get put together, something like that, and you know, you win a ball game, but it hasn't happened so far for the Blue Jays. All the breaks have gone the other way.
2-2 pitch. Ground ball to 3rd. Drury goes to 2nd for 1. Solarte back to 1st. Double play. So Marcus Stroman, he's the best at getting those balls on the ground. Drury, the 3rd baseman, gets it started. Solarte completes the double play from 2nd.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the 2018 Honda Civic Type R, like no Honda you've ever seen.
Beautiful afternoon here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We are in the East Bay at Oakland at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. This is the final game between the Oakland A's and the Blue Jays this season. Kendrys Morales takes a first pitch strike. The Blue Jays are 12-25 this year against left-handed starters. They have not fared well against the lefties.
Don't understand that at all. They've got plenty of switch hitters in their lineup to offset that, and they've got some power players in their lineup who hit from the right side. So remember just a couple of years ago when the Blue Jays were the best in baseball facing left-handed pitching? They had the highest average. They had the most production. I guess it's one of those things where it just, comes and goes.
I think what happens to the right-handed hitters is when you have a lefty that can get the ball inside, it really neutralizes the right-handed power. There's a changeup that missed down and away. 2-2 to Morales.
Now, they have been missing some of the bats from a few years ago. I think that has a lot to do with it. But they still have plenty of power from the right side.
Ground ball up the middle. That'll be a base hit for Morales. Chaminade, as we mentioned, is 26 years old, and he has done a good job of keeping base runners off the bases. He's stingy as far as giving up walks and hits per inning. When you look at this who's list of pitching, Chaminade is right there with the best.
I'm taking those guys right there. Those are some of the best pitchers in the American League, and Chaminade is right there. For the month of July, he had 4 walks total in 5 starts. So he's going to be around the plate.
Popped up. Solarte gets jammed.
And I think the Blue Jays know that. They'll have their scouting reports out there and talking about Manaea and what he throws and how often he throws strikes. So at least the first 5 batters of the game this afternoon, they have been very aggressive early on in the count.
Yeah, and Manaea, he'll throw a lot of pitches for strikes. He comes right at you. There's another strike, foul back, but you see where the pitches are. Right on the inside corner. And when you're a right-handed hitter, because of the breaking balls and all those split finger pitches and everything, most of the pitches are away. So if you're a left-handed pitcher that can get the ball to the inside part of the plate for strikes, you can have a lot of success.
He's just setting up a slider right here. A couple of pitches up and in to Solarte, setting up that breaking ball.
Like he went with a changeup and missed off the plate. Solarte's average at .231, 17 homers and 53 driven in. One ball, 2 strikes. Now it's 2-2. Solarte on the road trip just 2 for 18. Been a bit of a struggle. He was 0 for 4 in the game last night. He had a single in 4 at bats on Monday night. Another foul back, another pitch on the inner half.
Teams have been really using that fastball against Solarte up in the strike zone, and he's gone after it. They've gone what's called changing the eye level. Fastballs up in the count and then sliders down in the lower parts of the strike zone.
Well, that's a great shot right there. Ryan Barucki listening to Curtis Granderson, and you can bet they're talking about Manaea. There's a base hit to left field. Back-to-back singles for the Blue Jays here in the second. Manaea, he's not overpowering. He throws fastball, slider, changeup. Same arsenal as Ryan Barucki. Barucki's got a little better fastball. But, boy, wouldn't you like to be a fly on the wall in that conversation? Marco Estrada, Curtis Granderson, Ryan Barucki. A couple of veterans and a rookie.
That's for a rookie, for Barucki. That's the guy that you would want to talk to if you don't want to talk to a pitcher. Talk to a hitter. Hey, what are you looking for in this situation? And get the hitter's perspective. Maybe that'll help you the next time you go to the mound.
Not only what you're looking for, but why are you looking for that pitch? If I think I throw a slider here, how come you are looking for a fastball? I think those conversations are invaluable.
I think Ryan has shown that he's a pretty smart kid. He attached himself to Jay Happ before Jay was traded, and now he's sitting down to the senior member of the everyday players in Curtis Granderson.
There is so much work to be done in the 4 days that you're not pitching, and this is part of it. You get a chance to pitch in Seattle in that supercharged atmosphere against the Mariners with so many Blue Jay fans on hand. That'll be fun. Martin takes it outside. It's 2-0. Blue Jays threatening here in the second. Manaea is second in the majors in the fewest pitches per innings pitched. He trails only Corey Kluber of the Indians in that department, but Blue Jays are working him over here. Martin hits it to center, not that deep. Kind of broke back. Now he's got to come in, and he makes the catch, one away.
I think the Blue Jays' willingness to swing early in the count, pitchers will pick up on that and then try to be perfect. Try and nibble on those corners early in the count. If you're not facing the right type of hitter, Russell Martin got himself into a good spot right there to hit that fastball. He just missed it.
Troy Tulowitzki is here with the Blue Jays. He's enjoyed being around the ball club. It's been a long time since he's seen most of these guys, going all the way back to spring training, but he's spent 3 good days here with his team. Aledmus Diaz, he goes after the first pitch, as he often does.
And that's why he threw him a changeup down and away. Don't stop being who you are. And Diaz is an aggressive swinger, an aggressive hitter, and it has worked for him. I wouldn't want to take away his aggressiveness. I have plenty of confidence in his strike zone awareness.
Another high fly ball into right field. Piscotti calls for it. The right fielder is there and makes the catch. Dairy Queen would like to wish Aledmus Diaz a happy birthday. It's birthday number 28 for the Blue Jays shortstop. Happy birthday, Aledmus. That's not exactly what he had in mind for his first at bat on his birthday.
Oh, yeah, but you can do something special later in the ball game.
This is Brandon Drury now playing at third base. Drury's just 2 for 12 on a road trip, but he had a big hit in Chicago. And the Blue Jays were able to score 5 big runs in the 9th inning to win the series against the White Sox. Drury had a 2-run double in that 9th inning. Drury's getting his first look at Sean Manaea.
He's got some talent. He's a good-looking third baseman with a lot of range and soft hands. And he's going to hit, too. Here are the numbers so far this season, hitting with runners in scoring position. He's missed so much time with the injuries that he's had. His strong point is right center field. If they throw that fastball away to him, he's going to hit a laser to right field.
Yeah, he's got a very good approach at the plate. You can see the center fielder, Marcana, is shaded to the power alley in right.
They're trying to close up that gap. The right fielder is straight away in the outfield. Everybody else on the infield straight away.
Manaea has given up some home runs. He's given up 19 home runs this season. 17 of those 19 home runs have been surrendered to right-handed hitters. That off-speed pitch. Changeup is working early. Brandon Drury has 1 home run this season. It was a 2-run home run off Marcus Stroman on April 1st back at Rogers Center. Upstairs, it's 2-2 now. Morales is at second. He had leadoff single. Solarte singled right behind him. He's at first. Then Martin flied out to center, and Diaz flied out to right.
High fastball, last pitch. He might throw him that changeup again. It's been a good pitch for him. There it is.
And he does. Drury strikes out, second strikeout of the afternoon. So back-to-back singles are wasted by the Blue Jays as they strand a pair.
To the Athletics, which is good news that they have Marcus Stroman on the mound, because lately he has been very good. After speaking to him after his last start in Chicago, he said that he feels dialed in, and ever since coming off the DL, he finally feels like he is back to himself, and the Blue Jays really need him to go deep into this game, because right now I think it's fair to say their bullpen is a bit of a mess. But the one bright spot lately has been Joe Biagini, at least in his last 3 appearances, giving up 0 hits and 0 earned runs. I got a chance to speak to Biagini earlier today and I asked him just what's working for you well right now, and he gave a lot of technical answers about his delivery and things he's been working on. But right before he walked away, he looked at me and said, "And there's a cute girl in the crowd that I know that I'm trying to impress, so I am inspired. Buck, Pat, whatever it takes."
Well, Joe grew up in this area across the bay, and
he's got some of his friends
the
here,
peninsula.
doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got a lot of friends here. I had a chance to meet a bunch of them yesterday. He went to college up at UC Davis, about 80 miles from here. Well, here is Chris Davis, the red-hot Chris Davis. He is 4 for 7 in this series. He has homered and driven in 4 runs. He's 2 for 4 in his career against Marcus Stroman with a homer.
I don't know if those first 2 pitches were purpose pitches, trying to stay in on Davis, but that's where he likes it. He steps right into that inside pitch.
Yeah, he sure does, and everything is off the plate inside. But we used to talk about hitters like Davis as they take their power with them. Like he flies open, but that's what he wants. He wants that ball inside. There's a tough strike, a lot of movement on that pitch.
He's telling himself right now, Davis, that he needs to stay inside that ball. Think about up the middle.
He takes ball 4. So Davis draws the leadoff walk here in the second. That's how the A's begin the second inning. Matt Olson, big first baseman, will step in the box. There are only 3 A's in this lineup that have faced Stroman. Olson will get his first look. Matt Chapman, Chris Davis, and Marcus Semien are the only batters that have at-bats against Stroman.
Olson had a big day yesterday, knocking in the first 2 runs for the A's with a single to left field. He also pulled a ball down the right field line.
Marcus got a double play off the bat of Stephen Piscotty to end the first. Last year, Stroman started himself. He started 6 double plays. This year, just 1. But he was zeroed in on that sinking fastball last year and really did a great job of starting those double plays. That's a base hit. That's going to be extra bases. It goes all the way to the wall at the 330 mark. Chris Davis is going to be stopped at third as Matt Olson has another double. For the A's, they have had their fair share of doubles and had 5 in the game yesterday.
I think 4 the day before, and here's number 1 this afternoon. Fell behind Olsen. This looked like his double from yesterday, out over the plate, and he's able to yank the ball down the right field line. It sticks momentarily underneath that fence, dug out of there by Teoscar, and then very quickly getting the ball back into the cutoff man to hold that runner at third base. They have had some good at-bats in this series, using the whole field.
The A's went 17-8 in the month of July. That's the second best record in the American League. Only Boston had a better record in July. And that's all despite the fact they lost 3 straight games in Colorado over this past weekend. Here's Mark Canha. He's had a heck of a series against the Blue Jays. Second and third, nobody out. He goes after the first pitch. Canha is 4 for 9 in this series. He's hit a pair of doubles and a home run against the Blue Jays.
Good low ball hitter. He has hit a couple of those low balls to left field, and I think that as a pitcher you need to be able to elevate the ball at time. This might be one of those times where you use a four-seamer above his hands to try and get a pop-up.
Ball on the strike now. There are situations you talked about a pop-up. You need to strike out and you need to pop up in these situations.
I think you have to pitch away from his strength, and his strength right now is low ball type of hitter. Infield is playing back, so anything on the ground is going to be a run.
Lined and caught by Drury. What a play. Drury snags that line drive. That ball might have ended up foul, as close as he was to the line, but he caught it in fair territory, and it was hooking toward foul ground.
Yeah, it was hooking. You don't have any time to think about that. Just make the play. Look at the reaction. He gets a great jump on that ball. A lot of times the shortstop will tell the third baseman when an off-speed pitch is coming or something inside, and I think Drury got the heads up there, was actually leaning towards the line.
And the first pitch strike to Marcus Semien.
I've been very impressed with Brandon Drury at third base.
He looks good at third,
yes.
doesn't he?
Yes.
He has played more at second base in his big league career than third, but he looks like a third baseman. Marcus Semien behind quickly, 0-2. Stroman walked Chris Davis to start the inning. Davis went first to third on the double by Matt Olson. And now he's really got a battle to get out of this situation.
Same situation, pop up or strikeout. Now with 2 strikes, he's got a couple of different ways he can get him out because he's got a couple different breaking balls. Slider has been much better. He's got a curveball that he'll throw occasionally. But if you throw it off the plate.
Russell Martin wants it upstairs, and it was too high. Simeon's done a nice job of coming through in these clutch situations. He's hit .319 batting with runners in scoring position. Breaking ball, good block by Martin. Boy, he had good angle on that ball in the dirt. Got his chest protector squared around, and it stayed right there at his feet. Blocked it very well.
Wasn't trying to catch it. Just try and block it. Watch the shoulders get over the ball. How he hunches over the ball, so when it hits the chest protector, it goes straight down.
Popped up. Smoked the first baseman. He's still on the dirt. He makes the catch. One step onto the outfield grass. Well, that's a nice pitch by Stroman to get the pop-up. So now he's out away from getting out of it.
Looked like it might have been his curveball, and I think that was the first one that he threw in that sequence to Semien. He threw it at the right time with 2 strikes. Had his timing way off. And a little pop up to the first baseman, so he's almost out of it.
Here's another guy that has hit over 300 with runners in scoring position, the catcher Jonathan Lucroy. Bottom of the second, the A's threatening here in the second.
For a team last year, the Oakland A's were dead last, hitting with runners in scoring position and 2 outs, a 187. This year, they are 6th in all of baseball. They have jumped that up to 257, which is 6th best in baseball. The major league average is 248.
It's all just a mindset, I think. You just make up your mind, I'm going to be a tough out. I got a chance to drive in runs. Lucroy had a tough month of July. He hit just 177 in July, but he had 13 ribbies on his 11 hits.
That's impressive. You have to keep telling yourself, hey, the pressure is on the pitcher to come to me. He's got to come to me, and I'll put a good swing on the baseball.
There's a fastball for a strike.
Another secret, I think, to hitting with runners in scoring position and 2 outs is not panicking when you get to 2 strikes. Don't be afraid to hit with 2 strikes. Still have a very competitive at bat. Positive thoughts every time you're up there.
There's a base hit. Davis is in to score. Here comes Olson right behind him, and you talk about a good approach. Jonathan Lucroy, drives in 2 with an opposite field single with 2 outs.
We're going to show you that great approach by Lucroy. He wasn't trying to overswing. He said, I'm going to just cut the field in half. I'm going to cut my swing down, shorten it up. Watch how he stays back. Lets that ball get deep. Almost hits that ball flat-footed. Not a bad pitch by Marcus Stroman, but a very good approach for Lucroy.
It was a good pitch, down and away, a low strike, but Lucroy spoils that good pitch with a 2-run single. Franklin Barreto, he's just been called up for the 5th time from the minor leagues. He's 0 for his last 4. He's had an at bat in this series, and now he's got a base hit. 3rd hit of the inning off of Stroman. Barreto gets a single in his first plate appearance.
He's got some pop, the former Blue Jay, who came over here in the Josh Donaldson trade. He doesn't get cheated at the plate. Big swing. And on a line to left field. He was just a low A-ball player when the Blue Jays traded him to Oakland, and he's finally made his way to the big leagues.
Back to the top of the order. Nick Martini struck out on a breaking ball in his only at bat. Stroman got 2 outs with runners at 2nd and 3rd, but then couldn't get that 3rd out. Lucroy with a clutch base hit to drive in 2.
I don't know what it is, but leadoff walks just seem to find their way around the bases, don't they?
They encourage the lineup. Hey, we got a leadoff walk, then you get a double, and now it's 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. And you really make the pitcher work, as Stroman was able to get Mark Cannon to line out and Simeon to pop out. But even that line drive off the bat of Mark Cannon was going to be maybe extra bases if it's fair, if it gets past Drury. But he made a nice play on it.
This whole inning, I think you got to go back to that Lucroy at bat. What a fantastic 2-striker or 2-1 count approach. Didn't overswing at all.
Yeah, and in that situation, you know, oftentimes hitter will think big. I got to get a big hit now. I got to hit a double. I got to hit a home run. Single down the right field line, scored 2.
Yeah, that's what I mean about keeping the pressure on the pitcher. The pressure's on him to come to you. if he throws it in there, just make a good swing. You can't guide it anywhere. Just continually think positive thoughts at the plate.
1-2, and he strikes out. So Martini strikes out for a second time, but Oakland takes advantage of a leadoff walk. They score 2 runs on 3 hits to take the early lead.
And enter the code MBJ1142 to earn My Blue Jays points just for watching the broadcast. The entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage, and the code must be entered by 4 a.m. Buck.
Thank you very much, Sean. After the half inning, when Marcus Stroman came back to the mound, John Gibbons looked like he had a little chat with him. I think more than anything, probably just to remind him, hey, when you gave up that double to Matt Olson, you got to back up a base.
Yeah, it looked like Marcus was going to head up either the clubhouse or something. Gibby stopped him and was pointing. We don't have any idea, but where he was pointing on the field, that might have had something to do with it.
Yeah, oftentimes a pitcher will give up a double and kind of be frustrated by the fact they give up the double, and Stroman just looks down in the right field corner, and he's got a place to be, and he stood right there on the mound. He's got to be behind third if there happened to be a throw, but
third or home.
Imagining that's what Gibbons was talking about. This is Darnell Sweeney, who has just been recalled from the minor leagues, and he takes a leadoff walk. A leadoff walk after your team scores. Not exactly what the manager wants to see.
That is something that Manaea just doesn't do. His last 2 starts, he hadn't walked 1 batter. That's a 4-pitch walk to the number 9 hitter. It's like a leadoff walk last inning cost the Blue Jays. Maybe they can return the favor this inning.
Back to the top of the order, Randall Grichuk takes the first pitch strike. Grichuk grounded out to third base, his only at bat. Manaea is a strike thrower. When you look at where he is, walks per 9 innings, he's among the leaders. Inside, 1-1. Sean Manaea is a workhorse. He's pitched 135 1/3 innings. That has him in the top 10 in the American League. He's also held the opponents to a .220 batting average. That's good for 10th in the AL. Just foul. Another changeup. That changeup's been a good pitch for him early on.
Yes, it has. It'll allow him to get deep into the ball game, and that's something that he has done this year, and something that they have needed. They just got word that their 4th pitcher was having Tommy John surgery yesterday. 4 pitchers, Tommy John, this year. So Manaea has to go deep, and he has gone deep this year. Other than Manaea, the A's have not had a starter complete 7 innings since Chris Bassett did it June the 9th versus Kansas City.
The A's starting pitchers have tossed fewer than 7 innings in each of the last 22 games. And I know they've got a good bullpen, but you got to give them a break every once in a while.
Yeah, what you don't want to do is overwork them. So when you get to the month of September, when the games really mean something, you want a fresh bullpen. Bob Melvin knows that. He's going to be trying to push those starters as far as he can and limit some of those innings for his bullpen.
Yeah, as you mentioned, they have had really bad luck with their starting pitching staff. They've lost 5 starters to injury and 4 of them for the season. 2-2 to Randall Grichuk with Darnell Sweeney at first. Swing and a miss. Another strikeout for Manaea. That's 3.
Save big at the outdoor living event at Home Hardware, on from July 25th to August 7th. Here's how.
Beautiful afternoon here on the West Coast. The Blue Jays will travel north after this game to go to Seattle, take on the Mariners for a 4-game series. Teoscar Hernandez, he was a strikeout victim his first time up.
That's a purpose pitch right there. Fastball in just to back him off of the plate. You can see hitters at times, they start to lean out over the plate, guessing pitches away. So Manaea and Lucroy, I think, had a feeling that Teoscar was leaning out over the plate, so they backed him off.
Set up the changeup perfectly. Up and in, down and away. That's what we used to call our hitter meetings. Up and in, down and away meetings. What do you pitch this guy? Up and in, down and away.
When you don't know, when there's not a lot of information on a guy, that's the best
That's
place.
what we did, yeah.
Best
Right-handed
place
hitter.
to do it. Sure.
Pitch him up and in and down and away.
And when you have the kind of weapons that Manaea has, he's got enough fastball to get in there, and he's got a great changeup.
Deep drive to center field. Marcana is back on the track at the edge of the fence, and he hauls it in. Teoscar Hernandez hit it hard, but to the wrong part of this field.
Yeah, if you're going to hit a home run, now's the time to do it. Tough on night games here. I mean, day games, the ball seems to fly. Again, I think that swing had a lot to do with the first pitch that we saw from Manaea. Stood him up, backed him off the plate just a little bit, and just didn't get all of it.
So the leadoff walk still at first in person of Darnell Sweeney. Now Justin Smoke 0 for 1. First pitch changeup. I don't think we've seen him throw a slider today. He's gone exclusively fastball changeup early on.
Yeah, looking at his charts and what he throws, his slider is his slowest pitch in terms of velocity. It's under 80 miles an hour. When we see the 81s and the 82s, that's his changeup. The Oakland A's have a new pitching coach today.
Gil Patterson, the minor league pitching coordinator, has been called up because the pitching coach has been called away due to a family issue. Pitching coach Scott Emerson is not here today. Marcus Jensen is the bullpen coach. He will fill the role. Smoke hits it on the ground. Simeon gathers and fires across the diamond. That ends the inning. Blue Jays get a leadoff walk and can't do anything with it.
TV broadcast in a third language. Omni presents Blue Jays at Mariners in Tagalog. It's the Blue Jays Pinoy edition Sunday at 4 p.m. only on Omni, guys.
That's very interesting, Sean, as the Blue Jays appeal is spreading. Going to add another language to Blue Jays telecast. That's pretty awesome. Baseball is certainly becoming a worldwide sport. The additional exposure of Major League Baseball around the world has created more interest. There have been more and more foreign-born players coming into the game, and now we're going to have a third language of Blue Jays telecast. That's pretty cool. This is Matt Chapman. Well, Chapman picked up his 9th hit against the Blue Jays in his first at bat. He is 9 for 21 this season against the Jays. Hits this one in the air, and this is playable. Smoke battling the sun, and he stays with it. It's a lot of foul territory here.
Matt Chapman has been killing the Blue Jays with the bat and the glove. Well, there's the veteran Smoke. He did the right thing, shading his eyes with his glove, using it as a sun visor to haul that ball in. It can be very adventurous in the outfield here this time of the year on any fly balls, and you got a couple of young players for the Blue Jays in the corners today, in left field and in right field, so it can be very interesting.
Yeah, it's a very tough sky for sure. Bright sun, no clouds in the sky, very difficult depth perception. You know, I had one of the saddest days of my baseball career as a fan in 1973, watching Willie Mays play center field for the Mets
in the World Series.
In the World Series, he lost a couple of balls in the sun in the World Series. Piscotty strikes out. That's the 3rd strikeout for Stroman. But that was the Mets and the Oakland A's playing in that World Series, and Willie Mays' last season. He played with the Mets the last 2 years, and he had a tough time playing in that series. He was 42 years old at that time.
Yeah, it missed a couple of balls. And they, this time of the year and then into September and October, the sun is even lower. And it's right where the ball goes. I've played here in September, and the ball goes up, and it's gone. You have no idea where it is.
Here's Chris Davis. He walked in, scored the first Oakland run. He scored on the Jonathan Lucroy 2-run single. That was in the 2nd inning. Davis's timing mechanism is very simple. He holds the bat very upright and then just kind of drifts that front leg out, keeping most of his weight on his backside, and that's how he generates so much power. Right back up the middle. Right past Marcus Stroman. A hot shot over the mound, a 2-out single for Davis. That's his 5th hit in 3 games against the Jays in this series.
Yeah, he keeps telling himself with that lower hand to show the back of the hand towards the swing, and that's what he gets. Not a lot of a stride. He just picks his foot up, puts it down, and then explodes onto that baseball. Sends it back through the middle for another hit.
It's a 5th hit for the A's. Matt Olson, the first baseman, doubled in his only at bat back in the 2nd. Ground ball. Drury makes a nice play from his seat. Can't make the throw. Drury was playing well off the bag at 3rd. Almost at the shortstop position. He had a long way to go. He gloved it, couldn't get to his feet. Tried to throw Olson out from his backside and couldn't do it.
And you say, okay, well, why couldn't they just throw the ball to second base and get the force? The Blue Jays were in that shift position, and the throw just wasn't there for the shortstop because he goes over to there. Diaz, to his initial reaction to go field the baseball. There's nobody at second base, so his only play was over at first base. And another 2-out hit, excuse me.
Mark Cannon takes a strike. And a 2-out rally here. Davis with a single up the middle. Olsen with an infield single. Cannon lined out to third his first time up. Breaking ball, 1-1 now. That high fastball is ripped foul back over the screen and out of play. McKenna has taken over as the everyday center fielder here lately, and he's delivered some big hits.
Yeah, lefties, righties, it doesn't matter for him. He's been coming up with some big hits. He's had a good series. He's already hit 1 home run in this series. A couple of doubles yesterday with an RBI.
He's got 14 home runs in just 281 at bats. Terrific production for the center fielder. 2 outs. Stroman trying to strand a pair of base runners here. Little chop foul right at home. The A's, as we mentioned earlier, 6-0 against the Blue Jays this season. The only other team they have a perfect record against, they're 4-0 against the Tigers. Ball in the dirt. 2-2 now to the A's center fielder. The one area of concern I have for Oakland, when you look at their record for the season, yeah, they're 5 games back in 3rd place in the West, but they are 19-26 against their division. And of course, they have many more games left against their division. 10 against Seattle and 6 against Houston. Those are the 2 teams they have to pass. High fly ball to left field. Sweeney has got room. He will make the catch, and Stroman is out of it. The A's strand 2 more. They've left on 4 so far in this game as we head to the 4th.
Now, it's no secret that the next few months of Blue Jays baseball should be very interesting. We'll see lots of new names and lots of new faces as the Jays give young guys an opportunity in the majors. And after 6 players traded prior to the deadline, it's a bit of a new look Jays team. So much so, in fact, that Kevin Pillar is now actually the longest tenured Jay on the roster. It's hard to imagine. And also after the Aaron Loup trade, Ryan Tepera is the final player remaining from the J.P. Ricciardi era. Guys, lots of changes with the Blue Jays lately, and likely lots more to come.
Absolutely, there are going to be a lot of changes. Everybody knows that. When you have a season like the Blue Jays have had, they're 10 games under 500. And you have some free agents that have been dealt away, expiring contracts allowed the Blue Jays to move those players.
It's just the nature of baseball. A coach said that to me when I was a young player. He said, watch every 5 years the turnover on this team. And he was right. Sometimes it's not even 5 years that you get a turnover. Sometimes nowadays with free agency, and you mentioned the expiring contracts, it's 3 years. There is so much turnover in baseball. Blue Jays, it's nothing new.
2 years ago, Blue Jays were in the playoffs. Seemed like a long time ago when they made those back-to-back appearances in the playoffs. And last year was a disappointing season. This year, injuries just kind of diffused the season from the get-go. No Troy Tulowitzki, no Josh Donaldson for the majority of the season. Marcus Stroman began the season injured, tried to pitch through it, and that didn't work. Aaron Sanchez, he hasn't been much of a factor this season because of injuries.
Yeah, a lot of things have happened to the Jays this year. And honestly, as that ball's fouled out of play, when they were in the playoffs, they got there with an older team. That eventually there was going to have to be some kind of turnover to get young again. I mean, scouts talk about the window was closing very quickly on the Jays and their chance to get into the playoffs, and they did. And they came very close to getting to the World Series twice.
Yeah, and that's why we saw so much activity prior to Tuesday's trade deadline, because there's so many teams that believe they have a chance to get the postseason, and you don't know how often that opportunity is going to present itself. So when you get there, you better take advantage of it. Billy Beane, the GM of the Oakland A's, talked about that. Said he feels it's his responsibility to respond when your team is playing well. When you look at the turnover with the Blue Jays, they've traded 6 players when you go back to Steve Pearce. He was traded at the end of June, and then Happ, Osuna, Loop, and Axford. And it's been quite a turnover.
That's just the non-waiver trade deadline. There's another one at the end of August that players have to pass through waivers, but there might be some more deals.
It's a high fly ball. Center fielder Mark Cannon drifts all the way onto the warning track as Hendrys Morales flies out for the first out here in the 4th. And you know, everybody talks about, well, you don't see the same type of activity. Well, who knows? The Blue Jays picked up David Cone on August 27th after that non-waiver trade deadline had expired, and David Cone was in the prime of his career. So you just don't know how players are going to be handled through the waiver process. You put a player on waivers and maybe he doesn't get claimed, then you can make a trade.
And that's starting now. It's August the 1st, and sets of players will go through waivers, and then you've got 3 days to either claim them or put in a claim and pull them back. So that'll happen over the next week or so.
And some teams will do that. They'll put up players on the waiver wire just to gauge the level of interest in each of their players. It might be the beginning of some off-seed trade talks. Throw a player out there, put him on the waiver wire, and the team claims him, and you pull him back, and you put a little note to yourself, okay, Cincinnati claimed this guy. I'm going to go talk to Cincinnati at the winter meetings. See how much interest they have indeed.
And everybody goes through waivers. It's not just a couple of players here and there. The whole team will go through waivers, and if nobody claims them, then you can trade those guys without any ramifications.
It's all quite interesting what goes on behind the scenes on a daily basis. Now, Neves Solarte, he had a base hit his first time up. Lays off that high pitch. It's 2-2. Manaya threw Solarte a slider in this at bat. We haven't seen many sliders from him. He's been mostly fastball changeup to this point. Little looper, and that's going to drop for a base hit. Solarte is 2 for 2. We mentioned that Ryan Borucki, the rookie pitcher, has been next to Curtis Granderson. Curtis has been holding court all afternoon, and you can see he's talking about pitching. When a pitcher breaks his hands, I watch where his hand is, I watch where that glove is, and these are things that when you hear it from a veteran hitter like Granderson, it has a dramatic impact on a young pitcher.
Absolutely. They've made some changes with his delivery to hide the ball just a little bit more, and that's one thing that Ryan does really well. He hides the ball extremely well. Doesn't give that hitter a chance to see the ball too long.
In that regard, he's kind of similar to Sean Manaea. He's not really overpowering. Manaea has a traditional windup where he winds up, he tucks his shoulder, and it's interesting. And I would imagine there have been situations this afternoon where Granderson will say, "You see that? See what he did after that curveball?" And now Lucroy, he didn't like that last pitch, so he immediately pulled his mask off and ran to the mound.
We have seen Manaea in the past a lot sharper than what we have seen today. Gave up a couple of base runners in the second inning and got out of that. He walked the leadoff batter last inning. Now he's given up another hit, so he's been dealing with a lot of traffic on the bases, and he's thrown a lot of pitches already.
61 pitches.
You mentioned he's one of the best in the American League at pitches per inning, fewest pitches per inning, but he hasn't been sharp.
Only Corey Kluber of the Indians has thrown fewer pitches per inning in the majors than Sean Manaea. But that's not been the case this afternoon. Russell Martin, he'll make you work. 3-0 to Martin. Pops it up. Got the green light. That's headed down toward the A's bullpen. And look at Chapman. All the way down in the bullpen. The third baseman knows that when you get a ball in foul ground here, you've got to go after it. There's so much ground to cover.
That was amazing. You know, this is a team that is in the hunt. It's August 1st. They're in the hunt, and he's going to give everything he has to try and get an out for his pitcher. Look how far Matt Chapman goes to try and catch that ball. All the way down to the bullpen of the Oakland A's.
That's awesome. 3-1 now to Martin. Solarte at first. There's strike two. I spoke to Jed Lowry, the all-star second baseman of the A's, at the all-star game, and I asked him what's been the biggest turnaround for your ball club. You guys got hot and got back into the race. He said the maturity of the young players like Olson and Chapman and Canna. All these young guys have really come on, and they understand how you play every single day in a pennant race.
Their shortstop is a young player, but a very talented player. Marcus Semien. Piscotty's a young player. He's had some years in the major leagues, but he's still a very young player.
You know, when you go through a pennant race for the first time, and you and I have both been in pennant races before, you kind of look at the standings every day and you go, ooh, we're only 5 games out of first. It's a great feeling. But at the same time, it brings you new anxieties and new thoughts about, you mean we could play in the postseason? That's pretty cool. Solarte was running on the pitch, a 3-2 count, just 1 out, but they started the runner.
Well, what it does also is you start playing for the team, and you start giving your all on everything. There are the standings in the American League West. Houston now just 4 games above Seattle and 5 against Oakland.
Houston, they won last night, but they had lost the previous 4 games. Solarte running again. The A's are 4-9 against Houston. They are 4-6 against the Angels, 3-6 against Seattle. The only winning record they have against their AL East opponents, or AL West opponents, 8-5 against the Rangers. So they're going to have to turn those numbers around.
Plenty of games to go, and a lot of those are going to be at home. They have played the fewest home games in the American League. On a nice stretch now where they're going to be playing here.
Ball 4. Lucroy was all locked and loaded to make that throw to second, but he heard the umpire holler out ball 4. Martin walks for another time. For Russell, that's his 46th walk of the season.
Now batting, number 1.
You can see why Lucroy thought about throwing the ball to second. That looked like strike 3.
They don't call that high strike anymore. I think hitters pick up on that, and Russell's got a great eye at the plate. He says, I'm not going to swing if you're not going to call it.
So Ledmus Diaz, on his birthday, bats with 2 on and 1 out. Diaz, 28 years old today. He goes after the first pitch. Simeon to Barreto to Olsen. One pitch and a double play. First double play turned by Oakland. It gets Sean Manaea out of the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the fourth. Oakland leads it 2-0. Guerrero Jr. got a chance to play for the first time, and he has really created a lot of interest. He was 0 for 1 officially, but he scored 2 runs because he walked 3 times. He had a sacrifice fly to pick up an RBI, and the beat just keeps going for Vladdy Guerrero.
I heard at the border it was all jammed up. Some of the Canadian fans trying to head over to Buffalo to go watch him play. 4 o'clock, I heard it was just jammed up. The media credentials that they handed out were incredible. They opened the gates 2 hours beforehand so they could watch the team take batting practice. Well, it has started. He is now 1 step away from Toronto.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and he has handled it all very well. Guerrero, first game in AAA Buffalo, hit third and played third base.
At 19?
19 years old. Marcus Simeon, he goes after the first pitch and rips it into center field. Simeon's had a nice series against the Blue Jays. A leadoff single here in the fourth.
He does those under the radar things, I think, for the Oakland A's. Steals some bases. He was on a double steal last night. Hit the ball the other way. Come up with some big at-bats with 2 outs. It now starts it here in the fourth inning with that single.
He's 5 for 10 in the series against the Blue Jays. Tell you what, if there was ever a hit and run situation, it's right here with this combination. Jonathan Lucroy at the plate. Not running here, and he hits it fair past third. Down the left field line into the corner. Simeon is being waved around third. Sweeney can't get the ball out. No throw to the plate. And Jonathan Lucroy has his 3rd RBI of the afternoon.
He's always known as an offensive catcher. This year he's done a good job with the pitching staff of the Oakland A's, and now the bat seems to be coming around for Lucroy. Hugs it right down the left field line, over the bag and into the corner to pick up that 3rd RBI. He now has 39 RBIs on the season. This is why it's tough to defend him. His 2-run single went down the right field line, and now you throw the ball on the inside part and he yanks it down the left field line. Thrown all the way into the corner, dug out of there by Sweeney, but too late.
Here is Franklin Barreto. He squares to bunt, and Stroman throws it up and in.
Simeon is their fastest runner, and he gets a good read on this. And you got to be thinking, hey, I can score right now. I've got good speed. I'm going to score. Matt Williams sends him without a throw for the 3rd run of the afternoon.
Barreto not showing bunt on this 2nd pitch. It's 2-0. Franklin Barreto was traded to Oakland in the offseason of 2014. He had played in 2014 for the Vancouver Canadians. He was 18 years old. He hit .311 in 73 games, and he was included in that trade with the A's. Hits that one up the middle. That'll move the base runner to third. There's another good example of a team at bat for Oakland.
Yeah, your team has a chance to get to the playoffs. You sacrifice yourself and you try and move that runner over to third base with less than 2 outs. Good job by Barreto to do that.
And you can see to a man, they are all standing up, welcoming him back into the dugout for a job well done. Now another run just 90 feet away. Barreto with a good, productive at bat. Here's Nick Martini. Martini has struck out twice so far against Stroman. That's going to score another run. Martini hits a deep fly ball to center. Sacrifice fly. Here comes Lucroy, and Franklin Barreto feels pretty special right now. He contributes to that RBI for Martini. 8th of the season for the left fielder for Oakland.
There's got to be a stat called team RBIs. You know, and that's a team RBI right there. You got the double from Lucroy. Barreto moves him over, and the sacrifice fly scores them. Martini will get the RBI, but the Oakland A's team should have a team RBI. That's how you play the game.
Well, and you know what? So much of the analytics have been based on individual performance that the team win has been de-emphasized. Matt Chapman 1 for 2 so far. Oakland now 4 runs on 8 hits. And we're just in the 4th inning. Barreto, the shortstop, or second baseman, excuse me, getting the start today. Had a productive at bat.
Bob Melvin making note of that. How they scored that run.
You know, that's what the bottom of your order is supposed to do. If you're not an RBI guy, if you're not a 300 hitter, you should be thinking all the time, how can I help with this at bat? And that's what Barreto did, grounding out to second. Chapman is called out on strikes. That ends the inning, but the A's get another couple of runs. They score 2 here in the 4th. We'll go to the 5th. Now time for Blue Jays Central Updaters. Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddall in the Samsung broadcast studio.
Baseball 18. RBI Baseball delivers an all-new franchise mode and much, much more, and it is available now. Learn more at rbigame.com, and it is rated E for everyone. Buck, Pat.
Thank you very much, Sean. Beautiful afternoon here in Oakland. We came across the Bay Bridge this morning. It was foggy and misty. It looked like a fall day, but it's a beautiful afternoon. Marcus Stroman through 4 innings has allowed 4 runs on 8 hits, and the Blue Jays trail 4-0.
And how can I doubt you that it would all burn off? You said, don't worry, Tabby, it'll all burn off by game time.
This is my hometown. This is where I grew up watching the Giants across the bay at Candlestick.
I
used to leave Sacramento, be 105 in Sacramento. We go to Candlestick, it was 64 and freezing.
I should never doubt you again about the weather in this area.
Well, I'm old. I've seen it for years. Sean Manaea now pitching with a 4-0 lead. He has jumped ahead of Brandon Drury. He struck out Drury his first time up on an off-speed pitch. Ground ball. Nice play by Barretta. 1 out. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Yeah, there will be a lot of fans there for certain. And they're waiting. It's a 4-game series, so you can bet there's been a lot of people making these plans since last year. Number 9 hitter is Darnell Sweeney. He drew a leadoff walk in the 3rd and never got past first base. Sweeney in his 2nd stint with the Blue Jays. He's 27 years old. Originally signed by the Dodgers. Got to the big leagues back in 2015 with Philadelphia. Appeared in 37 games with the Phillies. This is just his 2nd game with the Blue Jays this season.
Yeah, he came up on the 29th in June, played in 1 game. He was a sub at 3rd base on July the 1st. That was versus Detroit. And then the next day sent back down to AAA. He's got some things that you like. He's very versatile, can play different positions, the infield, the outfield. He's a switch hitter, can run a little bit, makes contact. And he's putting up another good at bat.
Sweeney in 68 games in AAA with the Bisons hit .235. Got 7 home runs and 29 RBIs. Hits this one to right. Piscotty to his left makes the catch. 2-way.
The diverse Civic family, our most powerful lineup yet. Honda, proud fan since 1977 and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
The Oakland A's have had a rich history here in the Bay Area. They are playing once again in Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. They have changed the name from time to time, but I like it back to its original name. They have named the field here in Oakland Rickey Henderson Field. Tribute to their terrific left fielder, the Hall of Famer Rickey Henderson. Grichuk hits this one to right. This is going to drop in front of Piscotty. It's a fair ball. Up against the fence, and Grichuk will stop at 2nd. With a 2-out double. Let's go back to Jamie Campbell. Thank you very much, Jamie, but it's a very alarming line for Sonny Gray, the starter for the Yankees, knocked out in the 3rd inning. He goes 2 2/3, 7 earned runs on 8 hits, and that is a problem for New York.
Against Baltimore.
Against Baltimore.
They've sold off all their best players, and look at that line, how many hits the Orioles had today. 15.
15 hits and a depleted lineup for sure. No Jonathan Scope, no Manny Machado. Their bullpen is vacated. No Zach Britton, Darren O'Day, or Brad Brock. They traded them all away. Trey Mancini had 3 hits. Sonny Gray just doesn't seem to be comfortable pitching in New York. Lance Lynn pitched 4 1/3 in relief. He was just picked up, and he's going to start. But in his first appearance, he pitches 4 1/3, no runs on 5 hits, and struck out 5.
That was the big acquisition for the Yankees last year. Got him from this team right here, Oakland, and they paid a price. 4 very good young players.
Dustin Fowler is one of those players. He's on the Oakland bench right now. A ball and 2 strikes to Teoscar Hernandez. He's 0 for 2. Grichuk at second.
Well, he will challenge you with a fastball. It's just 89 miles an hour, but it gets on you. They've changed a few things with him today. His slider, they want him to throw it just a little bit harder this afternoon, but he hasn't thrown that many sliders. We might see one here.
Another changeup, and Hernandez strikes out for a second time. 4 strikeouts for Sean Manaea through 5 innings. He walks off with a 4-0 lead.
Joined the team here in Oakland for a few days, and a very familiar face back in the dugout. Yesterday he took some BP, took part in some workouts, fielded some ground balls, and spoke to the media. Now, he talked a lot about his health, saying he feels much better, but still not quite ready to get back on the field. He would not confirm he'll be ready before the end of the season. Now, he did say there's obviously some frustration in his long road to recovery, but the one thing that keeps him going is his 4-year-old son, Taz. Tulowitzki said that Taz keeps asking him, "Daddy, when will you be back on the field?" And that is what keeps him motivated as he rehabs and works his way back to action, guys.
George Tulowitzki has not played in a Major League game since July 28th last year. He injured himself running up the first base line, stepped awkwardly on the foot of C.J. Cron and tumbled down and tore up his ankle. And that is not the main reason that he's out this year. In spring training, he had trouble with bone bruises on both of his heels, and he subsequently had surgery to address that.
And he's still sore. His feet still feel that. So he says he's getting better. He's making progress, but he's not really close to playing game action.
Been over a year since he's last played in the big leagues. Stephen Piscotty, the number 3 hitter for the A's. Piscotty has hit into a double play and struck out. Hitting 3rd in this A's lineup for the 3rd time this season.
They've been throwing him a steady diet of breaking balls, and Marcus missed his spot there. That was a pitch out over the plate. Major League hitters will get 1 pitch to hit every at bat, and that was it right there for Piscotty. And he just fouled it back. Now let's go right back down and away.
Perfect pitch down and away for a strikeout. Piscotty strikes out for his 2nd time. 1 out. Here's Chris Davis. He has walked and singled so far.
Well, he's been the hot bat that has been driving this offense for the Oakland A's over the last 10 games. 8 home runs and 20 RBIs over those last 10 games. An OPS of 1.316. Homered here to dead center field the other day. And you and I were talking before the game today. We're saying this is the new toy cannon. 2.0.
Toy cannon. A lot of people in this broadcast area didn't know who Toy Cannon was. There's a bouncing ball, one hopper to Diaz. Davis is retired for the first time this afternoon. The Toy Cannon played in Houston, and obviously it was Jimmy Wynn. And he was of small stature, much like Chris Davis, but you're right. You can call him the new Toy Cannon.
Yes, 2.0. It's got great power, same type of player, offensive player, not a real big guy, but he packs a punch when he swings the bat.
Jimmy Wynn was listed at 5'10". I don't think he was 5'10", but he hit some home runs, 291 home runs. He had a career high 37 home runs in 1967 in the Astrodome, which was a monstrous ballpark.
Got a lot of recognition when he traded over to the Los Angeles Dodgers on that big stage.
74, he went to the Dodgers, hit 32 home runs and drove in 108. He was an all-star and finished 5th in the MVP voting that year. Toy Cannon. The Toy Cannon. He was some player.
They don't make nicknames like that anymore, do they?
We were talking about that today, too. No Neck Williams. Walt No Neck Williams. Pumpsy Green. That was a terrific name.
Three Finger Brown. Come on.
0-2. I can't even think of a player with a nickname now. Junior. That's Junior Griffey, but he's just Junior. Smokey. But that's just kind of a shortcut of his last name.
I can't think of any either. I'm trying to think.
A genuine nickname that has nothing to do really related to your name. The Stroh Show, that's his handle, and just kind of a name that is part of his name. But I can't think of a true Mike Trout. He doesn't have a nickname. The Machine.
Who? Mike Trout?
No, Albert Pujols.
Albert Pujols is the Machine?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because he's like
he's a hitting machine.
clockwork.
I know
Yep,
that.
that's it. There's a slow breaking ball. Stroman strikes out Matt Olson. 3 up, 3 down here in the 5th. The Blue Jays need some runs. Stroman trails by 4. Smoke, Morales, and Solarte when we come back to Oakland.
Presented by National Bank begins August 6th on Sportsnet, guys.
Thank you very much, Sean. Rogers Cup Great Tennis coming up here on Sportsnet. It all begins August 6th, as Sean mentioned. We continue to rack our brains for nicknames, and of course, the Rocket, Roger Clemens, the Big Unit, Randy Johnson,
The Big Hurt.
the Big Hurt, Frank Thomas, Say Hey Kid. You know, of course, that's the best all time for me. Willie Mays.
He was your idol.
Kid. Yep. Big Poppy, but he's retired now. David Ortiz. Justin Smoke. But you try to think of a real genuine nickname
Of a current player.
Yeah.
Who's playing right now. Not the nickname that they call him based on his name. Maybe we need to start coming up with one. Did the Big Hurt come from the Hawk?
Oh, yeah. The Big Hurt. There's one across the bay in San Francisco right now, current player. The Panda.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's on
Pablo
the DL.
Sandoval.
Yeah.
Stretch McCovey. Willie McCovey. Called him Stretch. Willie Starger was called Pops.
Pops.
Smoke jumps back from an inside fastball. It's 2-2 to leadoff man here in the 6th. Blue Jays need to get something going. Heart of the order here. Smoke, Morales, and Solarte trying to solve Sean Manaea. Another strikeout for Manaea. That's 5 so far this afternoon.
Changeup's been good for him. And basically, he will use that fastball changeup with an occasional slider. The changeup puts it in a good spot down and out of the strike zone. Look at the dip that you get from StatCast there.
Manaea, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Kendrys Morales, he has a base hit. Blue Jays again just 4 hits. They had 6 hits in last night's game. Managed just 5 in the opener on Monday night. Popped up. Olsen giving chase, but that one will be out of play. We forgot one that started this year early in the season, and one of those nicknames, Lukey Barrels. I mean, it was a self-inflicted nickname, but Luke Maley got up to such a hot start. He kidding. He says, "Yeah, you can just call me Lukey Barrels now."
I've been calling him Barrels every now and then when I run into him. What's up today, Barrels?
Another pop up in the same direction, but it too is out of play.
Nicknames come from your teammates. They're around you all the time, and they know, who you are and what you do and things like that. That's where the great nicknames come from.
Luke Maley, he's got a colorful nickname, Lukey Barrels. There's another pop-up. This one's got a chance to be in play. Olsen, the first baseman, stays with it and makes the catch. Finally, the A's got a pop-up that stayed out of the seats. Morales is retired.
Why it's so tough to hit here if you're a fly ball type of hitter, because there's so much room on either side. That one is normally in the stands, and you get another swing at Manaea. Instead, it's 2 outs, nobody on.
We had talked about how infrequently the A's starters have pitched deep into the game. Coming into this game, they have not had a 7-inning outing for the last 22 straight games. This has popped up and playable. Lucroy battling the sun. He stays with it. Quick inning for Sean Manaea. He got the 3, 4, and 5 hitters in order as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Lots of baseball on Sportsnet 360 tomorrow. You can see the Yankees and the Red Sox at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific time. That'll be CC Sabathia against the lefty Brian Johnson. Johnson is taking over for Chris Sale, who is on the DL right now with a tired shoulder. That's not good news for Boston. Boy, they need him. No matter how good of regular season you have, you better have a healthy Chris Sale if you go to the postseason.
Yeah, and he had worn down the last couple of seasons towards the end in September and October. And because he's on the DL, Blue Jays will probably miss him when they get back off of this road trip.
Over the shortstop's glove into left field. That's Mark Canha with another hit. That's 9 hits now for Oakland. A leadoff single here in the third.
Canha was robbed of a hit his first time up with a couple of runners on. A great play by Drury. He will start the 6th inning with this ball just out of the reach of Aledmys Diaz. That is now 9 hits this afternoon for Oakland, and that'll get the bullpen up.
Here's Marcus Semien. Semien singled to lead off the 4th inning and came around to score. That is Danny Barnes, who has just rejoined the Blue Jays. Barnes has been out with a knee injury. He has made 4 appearances in the minors in his rehab situation. Check that. I think he made 3 appearances on this last rehab assignment, but he is back in the bullpen and loosening up. Semien is 1 for 2. Semien played parts of 2 seasons with the Chicago White Sox, then came to Oakland in 2015. Part of that trade in December of 2014. It included Jeff Samardzija. Semien chases that breaking ball. It's 3-2 now.
Marcus not afraid to throw that slider at any point in the count. He was behind. Now he's back into the count. Well, if you throw it 3-1, probably going to get it 3-2.
Canha's at first. He's running. Ground ball to the right side. That gets past Smoke. Canha's around second. He's headed for third. They start the runner that took the second baseman out of play, and Semien has his second hit. And that's another great piece of hitting. He just put the bat on the ball and grounds it past the first baseman.
Thought they might start the runner 3-1, but they start at 3-2. And this is what I mean about Marcus Semien doing all the little things to help your team. That is a tough pitch from Stroman. He just sticks the bat out there and gets it by Smoke. That allows Canha to go first to third. They started the runner to stay out of the double play, and it worked out beautifully for him.
And Jonathan Lucroy's had a big day. He's driven in 3 runs. Had a 2-run single in the second, an RBI double in the 4th. He has driven in 16 runs with his last 13 hits.
Clutching up for Oakland. Here's another chance now. Blue Jays are going to play the infield back.
There's another RBI base hit for Lucroy. Canha comes in to score. 3 hits in a row for Oakland here in the 6th. So John Gibbons has come out of the Blue Jays dugout. Danny Barnes is ready. I haven't seen Gibbons make a call yet. 11 hits now for Oakland. And Gibbons will make the pitching change. Stroman is out. Danny Barnes is in. Barnes has not pitched for the Blue Jays since June 21st. knocked out of the game, and he took some frustration out as he left the ball game. 5 runs on 11 hits for Oakland against Stroman. And they just had some very good at-bats against Marcus today. Not necessarily really hammering the baseball, but very good at-bats and productive at-bats.
Yeah, great approaches, and they found the hole. Danny Barnes will make his first trip to the mound since June the 21st.
That's a fair ball just inside the bag. Simeon's around third. He's going to score. And they're going to wave Lucroy. Here's the relay to the plate. It is not in time. Franklin Barreto, his second hit of the afternoon. He drives home 2 to give him 12 RBIs. And the A's, they have busted loose here once again.
Second time this afternoon that the A's have been able to score a runner from first base on a double down the left field line. The A's scored 10 runs here in game 1, 6 yesterday, and they're pouring it on again now, 7-0. Barreto, first pitch swinging. Bob Melvin, give him a little credit. He took one of the better hitters out of the lineup today. Jed Lowry inserted Barreto, and he's had a factor into this game. A single. He moved a runner his last time up to get an RBI, now a 2-run double.
And so the baseball gods took care of Barreto. He sacrificed himself in the 4th inning, and he gets 2 RBIs here in the 6th. Back to the top of the order, Nick Martini, sac fly in the 4th. He's officially 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts.
Danny, I mentioned last pitched on June the 21st. The Blue Jays actually lost 2 pitchers from their staff that day. The team was out in Los Angeles. That was the start for Aaron Sanchez. When Aaron could only throw 1 inning. Aaron hasn't pitched yet. Barnes has come back. You could tell something was wrong with Danny in that 2/3 of an inning that he worked. He walked 3 batters. And this is a guy who doesn't walk anybody. He had 3 walks, and he came off the mound and went on the disabled list the next day with some knee problems.
Just barely foul. Sam Holbrook, the third base umpire, had to get out of the way quickly, and initially it looked like he was going to wave it fair. But he called it a foul ball just past third base. Seven to nothing, Oakland. And they have won the previous 6 games against the Blue Jays. Trying to make it a clean sweep for the season.
I had it. If it was a little higher, I would have had that one.
You had him played perfectly. It was right at you. The Oakland A's have only had 3 perfect season series in their franchise history. They went 12-0 against the Yankees. It was back in '96, and it's just something you don't see very often. Or excuse me, 1990 they were 12-0 against the Yankees. They went 7-0 against the Orioles in 2004, and they are currently 6-0 against the Blue Jays. This is the final game of their season series.
We had that shot of Bob Melvin, who picked up his 600th win in last night's game, trying to break a tie with Art Howell. They both have 600 wins as Oakland A managers in the franchise history. Safe to say he's not going to end up being the all-time leading winner as a manager for the A's organization.
Somebody has a big lead.
Yeah, well, first of all, Tony La Russa is at 798. Connie Mack's over 3,000 wins. 3,582 wins. I don't think Bob's going to break that record. But congratulations to him on number 600. That's a lot of wins.
It is a lot of wins. He took over as the manager on June 9th, 2011. He's the 4th manager in A's history to have 600 wins. So Martini draws the walk off Barnes. Barnes has come in, given up a 2-run double and a walk. That closes the book on Marcus Stroman. Stroman goes 5 plus 3 batters, 5 innings plus 3 batters. He's charged with 7 earned runs on 11 hits, walked 1, and struck out 6. Matt Chapman cuts on the first pitch and fouls it back. Marcus came into this game throwing the ball very well. Came off a couple of good outings against the Orioles at home and against Chicago.
Yeah, first time this season he had gone over 100 pitches against Baltimore and then Chicago. Couldn't get there today against the A's. Some of his pitchers were very good. Again, I think you got to give credit to the Oakland A's, their approach at the plate. Some of those balls found holes on the infield, found their way into the outfield.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Matt Chapman. Danny Barnes has been a big part of this Blue Jays bullpen the last several years, and this year he just hasn't been healthy to really string things together. Chapman goes after that pitch and strikes out. That's the first out of the inning.
At the Honda Checkered Flag event, the real victory lap is the drive home.
Now batting right fielder, 25, Steven.
They're in Oakland, across the bay from San Francisco. And we'll be on the water again tomorrow. We'll be in Seattle. Up in Washington. 4-game series against the Mariners. Seattle trailing the Astros 8-2 in the bottom of the 5th inning. Dallas Keuchel pitching for the Astros. Wade LeBlanc started. He's out of the ball game.
That's good news for the Blue Jays. You'd love to see Seattle use up their bullpen before you start a 4-game series against that one team. Conversely, Seattle would like to see the Blue Jays use up their bullpen. They really needed their starter to go deep today because they've been beat up down there.
Stephen Piscotty, he's had a tough afternoon. 0 for 3. A couple of strikeouts, and he grounded into a double play. Breaking ball away.
Danny's been working on that slider, and that's been the pitch that Piscotty's had some problems with this afternoon. Marcus struck him out twice with those sliders off the plate.
One hopper, second for 1 back to first double play, and the inning is finally over. But the Oakland A's score 3 more runs in the 6th. They've taken a commanding 7-0 lead. Middle of the 6th in Oakland. your WestJet dollars to over 450 partner destinations around the globe. Join today at westjet.com/rewards. Beautiful day in Oakland. Sean Manaea, he had a 4-game win streak, snapped his last time out. But he's got a big lead here as the Blue Jays are set to bat in the 7th.
Yeah, he only threw 5 innings at Colorado and threw just 74 pitches, so he is well rested for this start. Interesting fact, he's only gone over 100 pitches in a game twice this year. They have really watched out for this young left-hander and kept his workload down.
So Martin pops it into the seats.
Looks like he's going to go over 100 pitches this afternoon.
Manaea looking for his 10th win of the season. I'm sure he would like to get 7 innings in the book. As we mentioned, the A's have not had a 7-inning start from their starters in the last 22 games. J.P. Wendelken is loosening up.
One of those times that Manaea went over 100 pitches, of course, was that no-hitter when he had 10 strikeouts early this season back in April against Boston. He threw 108 pitches in 9 innings. Pretty effective and efficient.
Up the middle. Past Barreto. He dove for it, but Russell Martin has a leadoff single in the 7th. Russell's 5th hit on this road trip.
Maybe he's not going to get to 100 pitches. He's at 99, and here comes Bob Melvin.
Well, Bob Melvin with a very purposeful walk to the mound will take the baseball from Sean Manaea. Oakland has a very deep and effective bullpen, so Manaea is out of the game after a leadoff single here in the 7th. His 10th win of the season. He gives up a leadoff single to Russ Martin here in the 7th, and he will turn things over to the bullpen. J.B. Wendelken making his 5th appearance of the season.
Another one of those good arms out of the bullpen for the Oakland A's. He missed the 2017 season with Tommy John surgery. So he began this year in Double-A, got up to Triple-A in May. And here he is in the big leagues. His fastball average is about 95. He's got a changeup and curveball also. First time that the Blue Jays have seen Wendelken.
Wendelken originally drafted and signed with the Red Sox. Came to Oakland in July of 2013 in a 3-team trade. And Boston, the White Sox, in the Tigers and actually didn't come here. He was traded from Chicago in December of 2015 for Brett Laurie. So he came from the White Sox in 2015 in an offseason trade. Laurie went from Oakland to Chicago. Aledmus Diaz, he's 0 for 2.
That's his best pitch right there. That overhand curveball against right-handed batters. He'll throw it 35% of the time. He'll use it as his strikeout type of pitch.
A ball and 2 strikes to Blue Jays shortstop. Ground ball to third. Nice play by Chapman. Bounces it to second, and that's all they'll get. Chapman came in and took the short hop, and then he bounced it to Barreto at second. They were able to get the force out, and that's it.
The fans are showing their appreciation to the glove work of Matt Chapman. Watch him read this ball. It's an in-between hop, so his only play is to swipe at it, which he does. Throws off balance, and a nice play at second base also by Barreto. Barreto gets that out at second base to keep the double play.
Now, Chapman committed an error in this season, but he's made more impressive plays than that one error. He's been good at third. Brandon Drury, the third baseman, takes one outside for ball 1. Swung on and missed. It's a ball and a strike to Drury. 1 out. We're in the 7th inning. Blue Jays trying to salvage the final game of this 3-game series, and they trail by 7. It's 7-0 Oakland. They lost on Monday night 10-1. And when Jackson picked up his 100th career win, Marco Estrada started that game for the Blue Jays. And the swing and a miss. Sam Gaviglio started against Oakland last night, lasted just 2 2/3. Trevor Cahill picked up his 3rd win of the season. Oakland won that game 6-2.
That was his 200th career start. So milestones all over the place.
Fouled out of play. The Blue Jays won 2 of 3 against the White Sox in Chicago. And they're on the verge of being swept in this 3-game series here in Oakland. Another 1-2 pitch from Wendelken. That's a foul ball. Oakland has been one of the hottest teams in baseball. In the month of July, they went 17-8. Only the Red Sox had a better record. The Yankees, they went 15-10. The Indians 14-11, and Astros, all the good postseason teams right there. And you play good baseball in July, it sets you up for the dog days of August.
Yes, it does. That was their 5th best July in Oakland history, and the best since going 19-5 in 2012. On a nice little roll right now. They're doing it with timely hitting. We've seen plenty of that over the last 3 days, and great relief pitching. They've got one of the better bullpens in baseball. They come into this one in the American League, 4th best earned run average out of that bullpen in the American League at just .337.
Breaking ball for ball 2. It's now 2-2. Brandon Drury, of course, came to the Blue Jays in the J. Happ trade. He and Billy McKinney coming from the Yankees. Drury playing in his 5th game since joining the Blue Jays. Good take. It's now a full count at 3-2. Drury strikes out. Along at bat, and he ends up striking out. Second time he's gone down swinging this afternoon.
95 mile an hour with that fastball. It's just, here it is. I've got a 7-run lead. I'm going to pump your fastballs in there, and you're going to have to beat me. Wendelken's got a pretty good arm.
Bounce back from Tommy John surgery. Darnell Sweeney, a switch hitter, will turn around and bat left-handed for the first time. He walked and flied out. Officially 0 for 1. Ball on the strike to the Blue Jays left fielder. Sweeney batting in the 9th spot.
They just don't give you anything good to hit. Look where all those pitches are. Right on the corner. 2 of them for strikes. Airing it out. Hey, 7-run lead.
Yeah, you got to throw a lot of strikes and throw your fastball and put the ball in play. The Blue Jays will open up a 4-game series tomorrow night in Seattle. The Jays do not have a starter listed for that start. Seattle will counter with Felix Hernandez. King Felix will open up the series for Seattle. Friday night, Ryan Borucki will get his first opportunity to pitch in Seattle in front of a lot of Blue Jay fans. Marco Gonzalez, who's had a terrific season for the Mariners. He's 12-5. Outside. Full count now. So Diaz, the runner at first, will be moving on to pitch. There are 2 outs. We're in the 7th.
He'll get his first taste of that home field advantage, if you will, in Seattle.
There goes Diaz. Fouled out of play. Yeah, it's a great atmosphere in Seattle, and Borucki will get a taste of that for the first time in his career. On Saturday, excuse me, James Paxton is scheduled to start against Marco Estrada on Saturday.
They've been really drawing in Seattle. They really have. They've got a very good ball club, and the fans have been coming out and supporting the Mariners. So I'm sure there's going to be Blue Jay fans versus the Mariner fans. We'll be hearing that all weekend long.
Another 3-2 pitch outside for ball 4. Sweeney walks for a second time. The Mariners, they are home against Houston. They've had a 2-game series. On Monday night, they had 35,000 at Safeco Field. Tuesday night, 28,000. And they have really drawn well, as you mentioned. They had a great crowd for the 2 games against the San Francisco Giants. They had 40,000 for the Tuesday night game last week and 45,000 for the 2 games in interleague play against the Giants. Randall Grichuk, he's 1 for 3 this afternoon. He hit his 17th double back in the 5th inning. 0-2. Upstairs for a ball.
He's just aired it out right now. This is probably going to be his last inning. If he can get through the Blue Jays here, just reaching back and throwing it as hard as he can.
Sean Manaea started the inning, gave up a leadoff single to Russ Martin, and he was taken out of the game. Wendelken came in and has faced 3 batters. Grichuk now takes one outside. It's 2-2.
His scouting report is he's got pretty good control, but right now he's a little bit out of sync trying to overthrow the baseball. It's where you want to back off, maybe throw a breaking ball.
Grichuk playing center field with Kevin Pillar on the disabled list. Pillar pretty active. He's doing a lot of hitting. He's been shagging in the outfield. Looks pretty good.
He looks close. You know, you ask him how you doing. He says, I'm coming along. Things are doing okay. No timetable set, but watching him take batting practice, he looks very close.
Grichuk gets a base hit down the left field line. Should be extra bases. Diaz is around third. He's going to score. Randall Grichuk picks up his second double of the afternoon and drives home the first Blue Jay run as Diaz scores from second. Sweeney goes first to third on the hit.
Boy, real good at bat right there from Grichuk. He fell behind 0-2 very quickly, but then battled back to get it 2-2, and then that hanging breaking ball. This is not a good pitch here. Stay right over the middle of the plate, and Randall jumps all over it. Ball really comes off of his bat nicely. He will pick up the RBI, number 35. The Blue Jays are on the board.
Pair of doubles this afternoon. He now has 18 for the season. Sweeney goes first to third as Diaz comes in to score. Quick visit to the mound by the acting pitching coach, Marcus Jensen. Pitching coach Scott Emerson is away attending to a family issue. So Jensen comes down from the bullpen to perform the role of the pitching coach.
Gil Patterson's here, your old pitching coach.
Gil Patterson is the minor league pitching coordinator for Oakland, and he is filling in. Oscar Hernandez goes after that first pitch fastball.
Here's Gil.
Yeah, Gil Patterson, he has been a terrific pitching coach for a long time. This is his third season as the minor league pitching coordinator for Oakland after spending 3 years as the Yankees minor league pitching coordinator. He was a bullpen coach for me when I managed with the Blue Jays. A terrific pitching prospect. You and Gil played together in the Yankee system.
In the Yankee organization way back when. He got hurt and unfortunately did not have a major league career, but he was good before he got hurt. The A's have a lot of good young pitchers in their system. A couple of them have gotten hurt this year. A.J. Puck, a high draft pick from a couple of years ago. Tommy John surgery, he's out. They have a player by the name of Luzardo who just got moved up to AAA, their #1 prospect.
I believe he pitched in the Futures game in Washington during the All-Star break. But they've got some good arms, and Gil Patterson is very good mechanically with a lot of those guys. He was considered one of the top pitching prospects in all of baseball in 1976.
Yes. He and Ron Guidry were going to be the big pitchers for the Yankees in the 70s and the 80s before he got hurt.
0-2 to Hernandez. He jumps back from that inside breaking ball. It has been a long inning for J.B. Wendelken. He has thrown 31 pitches since coming into this ball game. 2. Breaking ball into there. 2-2 now. 7-1 Oakland. Blue Jays have a run on just 6 hits. Oakland 7 runs on 12 hits. There has not been a home run in this ball game, which is kind of unusual with these two teams.
Two teams that really rely on the home run and can have games where they hit a lot of home runs.
They've combined to hit 5 in this series.
Manaea did a good job of keeping the ball in the ballpark.
Very simple approach for Manaea this afternoon. The majority of the pitches, fastballs and changeups. He threw very few sliders. But he's in line for his 10th win through 99 pitches. 6 innings plus 1 batter. Charged with 1 earned run over 5 innings or 5 hits. He walked 2 and struck out 5. From 0-2 to 3-2. Been a struggle for J.B. Wendelken here in this 7th inning. And Hernandez walks. He was in the hole 0-2, and he works him for the walk, and that's going to be it. Bob Melvin and the Oakland managers come out of their dugout. So the only left-hander in their bullpen, Ryan Buchter, will come into this ball game. Buchter pitched on Monday night in that game. Open up a 4-game series against the Seattle Mariners. It all starts at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the pregame show with Jamie Campbell. 6:30 Pacific Time on Sportsnet. Sportsnet Now. King Felix Hernandez is the scheduled starter for the Blue Jays, or for the Mariners. Blue Jays have not announced their starting pitcher for tomorrow night's game. Ryan Buchter making his 2nd appearance in this series.
Yeah, he is well traveled. Buchter has been with the Cubs and the Braves, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Royals, and now here in the Oakland A's bullpen. They're only lefty in the bullpen, and we've seen managers this season in these situations bring in the left-hander to face Justin Smoak. Turn him around. Smokey's got more power, yes, from the left side, but his batting average is higher versus left-handed pitching.
But tool man, we have seen managers time and time again turn Smoak around. And that's what the situation is. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Smoak takes the ball upstairs.
I've asked some of those managers, I went up to him, I say, why do you turn him around? And some of them have said, well, he's got reverse splits. He doesn't hit as well right-handed. And I'm like, that's not true. He's hitting .261 versus left-handed pitching versus .248 versus right-handed pitching.
2-0. Smoke has hit a grand slam this season. He has 2 career grand slams.
He can let it fly right here, 2-0.
And he did. Well out in front of that pitch, but it's well foul into the second deck.
Hooker had a rude awakening, didn't he? The last time he came in to face the Blue Jays.
It was 10-0 in the 9th inning, and he just strolls in on Monday night and says, okay, well, I'm not going to expect anybody to swing at the first pitch. Wrong. Well, then Miss Diaz jumped on the first pitch and did a home run. And then he would go ahead and retire the next 3 in order. But Diaz, he's always ready to ambush that first pitch. Blue Jays can make it interesting right here with a hit. Good cut, foul back. Now it's 2-2. Blue Jays have scored their only run here in the 7th. Randall Grichuk with an RBI double. Sweeney's at third. He walked. Grichuk at second with the second double of the afternoon, and Teoscar Hernandez walked. Dustin Smoke with a 2-2 count. That's going to be out of play. The A's coming into this game have won 10 of their last 12 home games. They have really not been as dominant as you might expect playing here at home. Just 28-22 in home games. They played very well on the road. They are 11 games over 500 away from Oakland. 35-24. Another 2-2 pitch from Buckner. Breaking ball. Smoke strikes out. The Blue Jays will leave the bases loaded in their half of the 7th. They scored a run, but still trail Oakland 7-1. Ryan Tepera coming on.
And celebrate Blue Jays heroes of the past. Arrive early for a pregame ceremony, and the first 20,000 fans will receive an Alomar, Molitor, and Olerud triple bobblehead. That's Saturday, August 11th. Go to BlueJays.com for tickets, guys.
Thank you very much. And there's a great T-shirt from that era, the Wamco T-shirt, white Alomar, Molitor, Carter, and Olerud. Top of the order for that terrific lineup.
How would you like to pitch to that lineup? And then late in the season, they went out and got Ricky Henderson. That's no fun. They just bludgeoned everybody that year on their way to another world championship. Into the ball game this afternoon now. Third pitcher for the Blue Jays, Ryan Tepera. The first time that we have seen Ryan in this series. Pitched a couple of times in Chicago, where the Blue Jays just finished up that series. One good one and one bad one. So he'll be back on the mound now to pitch the 7th.
Tepera pitched on Saturday and didn't get an out against the White Sox. He was charged with 4 earned runs on 3 hits. He just had a real tough situation. He gave up 3 hits, hit 2 batters, and then gave up a 3-run triple to Lueri Garcia.
Yeah, his command was just not there. He bounced a couple of other pitches and threw a wild pitch, but John Gibbons did the right thing and put him back out there the next day against the White Sox in that win, that 7-4 Blue Jay win. Got him back out on the mound.
As Davis reaches for that outside pitch, Diaz at short, throws to first. Tepera, it's the first batter here in the bottom of the 7th. Matt Olson with 2 more hits this afternoon. He doubled and scored in the 2nd. He had a single in the 3rd and struck out in the 5th. Olson had a big day last night. A 2-run single and a double.
Yeah, both of those to right field, so the Blue Jays are in the shift. StatCast AI is powered by AWS. You can see Brandon Drury, the third baseman, had shifted over. He is now playing on the right side of the infield.
Tepera has got enough velocity to pitch Olson inside. We've talked about it throughout the 3-game series, how he extends his hands out over the plate, and you can see the target upstairs, and Olson strikes out. That high fastball gets him.
Save big at the outdoor living event at Home Hardware, on from July 25th to August 7th. Here's how.
Two outs. Mark Canha. He's had a good series against the Blue Jays. Canha has a hit in 3 trips this afternoon. Hit a home run on Monday. Counted for the first Oakland run in that 10-1 win. He stole home in the game last night, part of a double steal. It was the 2nd time that Canha has stole home in his career. It's kind of unusual. He also stole home August 5th, 2017 at the Angels. He's the only athletic with multiple steals of home in the last 25 years. They just don't run much.
They don't run much, and I was surprised they pulled off that double steal, or at least tried to throw that double steal out there against the Blue Jays. This time Canha gets clipped. I'm sure Campy Campaneris had a few steals of home, didn't he?
You bet. They were the running A's back then.
Two-seam fastball up, and it looks like it might have got him right on the bottom of his left hand.
So Marcus Semien, the shortstop, is 2 for 3. He scored a pair of runs this afternoon. He has scored twice because of the guy behind him. Jonathan Lucroy has had a 4-ribby day. Lucroy's had a perfect day, 3 for 3. He's driven in 4 and scored 2. Fly ball to left field, but not that deep. Darnell Sweeney is there, and that will end the inning. The hit by pitch does not hurt. We'll go to the 8th. Oakland looking to sweep the Blue Jays here in California. Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership. The Hall of Famers run around the field here in the 7th inning. Ricky Henderson took a little look at Dennis Eckersley closing ground on him, but he still had the speed to win it.
Yeah, it almost cost him. Seeing where the Eck is, the Hall of Fame race.
Kendrys Morales batting right-handed against the lefty. Morales 1 for 3. Sean Manaea went 6 innings plus a batter. He's in line for the win. The A's have Thursday off. They have a few off days in the next stretch of games, so they will not need a 5th starter for a while. Bob Melvin will send Brett Anderson to the mound on Friday against the Tigers when Detroit comes to town.
They use that spot to get another reliever.
Morales hits a high fly ball to left. Martini is over and makes the catch.
They're carrying 9 relievers out of the bullpen. Told you it was a deep bullpen and a good one.
Well, it's a real strength of this ball club. So because they have lost 5 starters to injuries, Bob Melvin says, you know what, we'll just add to the depth of our bullpen. Edwin Jackson picked up his 100th win of his career on Monday night. And there was Solarte, the second baseman, 2 for 3 this afternoon. Solarte now 4 for 21 on this road trip. The Blue Jays just haven't been able to do much against Oakland all season long. They've been dominated by the Oakland pitching staff.
Yeah, the pitching has been good, especially when you get that starter out of there. They've got so many different arms that they can throw at you. Right now, Buckner, he can't find the plate. Trying to guide it in there with a 6-run lead. Just can't do it.
There's a strike. It's now 3-1. There's ball 4. Solarte draws the 1-out walk. Let's see, 5th walk the Blue Jays have drawn this afternoon, but they haven't been able to capitalize on those walks. Russell Martin has a walk and a single. He's 1 for 2. High fly ball to left field. Martini back. He's looking up, and that ball is gone. Russell Martin with a 2-run home run. His 2nd home run on this road trip. His 9th of the season.
He is starting to swing the bat like we have seen him in the past. He'll work the count certain times, but then he'll jump on that first pitch like he did right there. Still has that short stroke, drives it out of here. 2-run home run for Russell Martin, number 9. He's driven in 22 runs now with that blast. Started hitting in Chicago, and that's not come back. Homered in Chicago. He also had a line double when he was in Chicago. Third time that he's been on base this afternoon.
2 for 3 with a walk. Aledmus Diaz. Diaz homered against Buckner on Monday night. Pretty swing from Russell Martin.
Yeah, this is what we're used to seeing from Russell. That is a long one to left field.
Two balls and a strike to the Blue Jays shortstop. Diaz has gone 0 for 3. He reached on a fielder's choice in the 7th and scored the first Blue Jay run. Jays have added 2 here in their half of the 8th. Seven to 3, Oakland leads it. Lou Trevino, the hard-throwing right-hander, he is loosening up for Oakland. 2 hopper to the third baseman, Chapman. He's got a heck of an arm and throws out the end.
And he throws that ball high enough for Olsen, so when he stretches, you can watch it right into his glove. He's got a good arm. He's made some nice plays for the A's in this series against the Jays.
Well, Bob Melvin will take the ball from Ryan Buckner, and Lou Trevino will come in to pitch to Brandon Drury. The Blue Jays have scored 2 in the 8th, but they still trail Oakland 7 to 3. Lou Trevino will come in for the second time in this series. Trevino pitched the 7th inning on Monday night and had a good 7th inning. Retired to side in order with a couple of strikeouts.
Sometimes you need a guy to come out of nowhere to help out your bullpen, and that's exactly what happened with Trevino this year. He landed on their radar this spring with an impressive spring through a blazing fastball, a little cutter, and a breaking ball. Opened up some eyes. He made his major league debut in April. And he hasn't looked back. He's got 8 wins out of the bullpen for the A's this year.
Brandon Drury, the Blue Jays' third baseman, has gone 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. Trevino's got a big arm, and they've got some hard throwers in the back end of their bullpen. Big, strong right-handers. They throw 98 to 100, and they've got a lot of movement on that fastball.
Yeah, can't throw the ball straight either. It makes it tough to hit. Opponents are hitting just 175 against Trevino with runners in scoring position.
He's allowed only 2 runs in 19 games with Oakland. That's in Oakland's ballpark here at home. 21 innings, just 2 runs.
When you throw like that and you get movement like that, all you have to do is say, hey, here it is. I got a big ballpark. Just don't pull the ball down line. Just keep it in the middle of the field and you're going to be fine.
Ball 4 goes back to the screen and jury's aboard. So Trevino walks the first man here. Darnell Sweeney getting a start. He was just called up for AAA Buffalo. He has walked twice in 3 plate appearances. Sweeney hit .235 in 68 games in AAA Buffalo. Goes after the first pitch, and it's a fly ball into shallow center field as a right fielder comes across and makes the catch. Stephen Piscotty makes a nice running catch to end the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Oakland has a 7-3 lead. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddall in the Samsung broadcast studio. On the checkered flag event, check out their all-star lineup.
In the just completed month for Jonathan Lucroy, he hit under 200, but he made the most of his hits. He had 11 hits and 13 RBIs. Well, he kept it going here on the first day of August. He's had 3 hits. He's driven in 4 runs, and each one of these hits for Lucroy, 2 to right field and 1 to left field, have driven in a run. Jonathan Lucroy's 3 hits tonight and 4 RBIs are this afternoon's drives of the game.
It's the 7th 3-hit game of the season for Lucroy. It's also the 2nd 4 RBI game he's had this year. He had a rough month of July, but he's gotten some big hits for the ball club, and now he's had a good start to August. Jake Petrichka into the ball game. Brian Pair pitched the 7th inning. Now Petrichka here in the 8th.
Jake has been pitching much better lately. We've seen him on this road trip. He got a chance to pitch against his former team, the Chicago White Sox.
Popped up right side of the infield. Solarte, the second baseman, calls for it, makes the catch.
He had a much better angle on that ball than Smoke. He took it. Petrichka got a chance to pitch against his former team in that bullpen day. If you remember that back in Chicago after John Axford threw 3 innings, Petrichka came in and threw 2 innings, gave up a run. He was excited to face his former team.
Franklin Barreto, he got the start at second base, taking over for the regular Jed Lauer, and he's made the most of his opportunities. A 2-for-3 day with a couple of RBIs. Had a 2-run double in the 6th.
He's had 3, I think, very effective at bats today for Oakland. Even when he made an out, it was a productive out. Moving a runner.
Three and one now. Number 9 hitter Franklin Barreto, then Nick Martini, the leadoff man. Now it's 3 and 2.
Petrichka's two-seam sinker has been unbelievable lately. Just reaching back and throwing it as hard as he can. He's getting great movement with it.
There's a fly ball to left field. Sweeney back at the track, at the wall. This one is gone. Franklin Barreto making the most of his opportunity here this afternoon. His 3rd hit is his 4th home run of the season.
The pitch before that had great drop to it, movement. It was down in the strike zone, and Barreto swung right through it for a strike. But when Petrichka came right back with the same pitch, watch the difference. Look at the movement on that pitch for a strike, and then the home run stayed right there. And it was about belt high over the middle plate, just didn't get the movement that he did on the prior pitch.
Barreto 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. That's what you need when you get a chance to play coming off the bench. He had a very good day at the plate. 4 productive at bats. Nick Martini, the leadoff man, officially 0 for 2. This is his 5th plate appearance. He had a sacrifice fly in the 4th and walked in the 6th. Barreto, he's kind of an interesting young offensive player. He had a 6 RBI game back on the 22nd of June against the White Sox in Chicago. He had 2 home runs and drove in 6. Ball hit him. So Martini will reach base again. The 2nd time he's been on base. This time is a little painful hit by pitch.
You know, you were talking about Barreto, and they really value here in Oakland on base percentage and having good at bats. He's not that type of player. He's a free swinger, and he goes up there and he's trying to do some damage offensively. We've seen that today with a double and a home run and a single. His on base percentage when today started just .237, but he's made the most of those hits.
Barreto's got 4 home runs and 13 RBIs on the season. Doing all of that with just 15 hits. Here's Matt Chapman. He singled in his first at bat. That extended his career high, reaching base to 18 games. It goes all the way back to July 11th. In the Toronto series, currently just 2 for 11. High fly ball. Teoscar Hernandez makes a catch in fair territory. 2 away. Stephen Piscotty, he's one of the A's that has had a rough day at the plate. He's grounded into 2 double plays and struck out twice.
Got a chance to do something now to help him out. He's left 3 runners on base. He and the runner at first base, the only ones without a hit this afternoon.
Martini moves to second base on the wild pitch. Ground ball. Solarte gathers and fires, and Piscotti is 0 for 5. But the A's get another run. They scored 8 this afternoon. Franklin Barreto, his 4th home run of the season. He's had a 3-hit day.
Presented by Honda. The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. Hurry in to grab the Civic that matches your game.
Blue Jays and A's wrapping up this 3-game series, and the A's are on the verge of sweeping the season series. They won the first 6 games, and they have a big lead here in Game 7. Grichuk gets sawed off. Chapman with that terrific arm. I don't think he saw the ball initially, as he was more focused on the barrel of the bat that was flying in his direction.
Yeah, not at all did he see it. He got a late break on it, but then picked it up. When you're playing third base and this type of action happens, the barrel and the ball coming at you, momentarily you lose focus. But he gathers himself up and then takes advantage of that great arm. Sees the ball. That is a rocket over to first base for the first down.
Teoscar Hernandez walked his last time up. Trevino came into the ballgame with 2 outs in the 8th, walked about it, but then got Sweeney to fly out to end the inning. You got to get it ready when you're facing the back end of this A's bullpen. They throw hard.
That can't be any fun. Trying to hit what you're seeing right now from Trevino. He's tied for the Major League lead in relievers wins with 8. ERA is just 125, 3rd best in the Major League.
Strike 3 called. Hernandez strikes out for a 3rd time this afternoon, and the Blue Jays are down to their last out. We'll be back with you tomorrow night from Seattle, and that's the scene that you should get used to. 4 games with a lot of Blue Jay fans in attendance. It'll be a lot of fun. King Felix will start for Seattle. Blue Jays have not yet announced who will be their starting pitcher, but you can bet it'll be a supercharged atmosphere. 4 against the Mariners beginning tomorrow night.
I always have that vision of the King's Court down the left field line with all the yellow jerseys, and that one Blue Jay fan a couple of years ago sitting in the middle of it. Remember that?
All gold and one Blue Jay fan in the middle with his blue jersey on. It was a great scene. Justin Smoke Lines it in the alley in left center. That'll get down for a base hit. Martini plays it back in. So Smoke picks up his first hit of the afternoon. He's 1 for 5.
That's how you take that two-seam sinking fastball if you're a left-handed hitter and hit it the other way. That ball is going away from Smoke, but Justin stays on top of that ball and drills it to left field.
Kendrys Morales singled his first time up. Morales has had a productive road trip. He is 6 for 21 on the road trip. Has a homer and 3 RBIs. He's trying to hit one on the left side of that infield. They're playing him in the shift. They took that outside pitch and just fouled it back. Now, Blue Jays are down to their last strike. Oakland trying to win a season series, to sweep a season series for just the 3rd time in their franchise history. The appeal down to third base umpire. He says no swing.
That was the pitch that was giving Kendrys some problems earlier this year, but a much better strike zone awareness, laying off those pitches now.
Another foul straight back. The A's had a perfect season against the Yankees in 1990. They went 12-0 against New York. They also had a perfect season against the Orioles in 2004 when they went 7-0 against the Orioles. Bounced foul. Morales stays alive. The Blue Jays have always had a tough time in this ballpark. Oakland, coming into this game, have won 11 of the last 15 games against the Blue Jays here at the Coliseum.
Some walk-offs. I remember those over the last couple of years. Some tough losses for the Blue Jays, but in this series, the A's just have outplayed them in all 3 games.
That'll do it. Morales strikes out. That ends the game, and the A's complete the season series sweep. They beat the Blue Jays in all 7 games these two teams have played. Jonathan Lucroy with the big offensive game behind the plate. 3 hits and 4 RBIs for Lucroy as the A's win it.
Bottom of the lineup really did a number on the Blue Jays this afternoon. They got 6 hits and drove in 7 of the runs against the Jays. Lucroy and Barreto. Sean Manaea will pick up the win, his 10th. And the Blue Jays got swept here in Oakland. The A's just outplayed them. Bob Melvin breaks a tie with Art Howe, 601st win. Only the Hall of Famers have more wins as managers. And that's Tony La Russa, of course, and the great
Connie Mack. 8-3, the Oakland A's will win it. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you tomorrow night from Seattle. Stay tuned. Now time for Tim and Sid. Fellas, take it away.